The University of Al-Qarawiyyin. The University of Al-Qarawiyyin is located in Fez, modern-day Morocco, and is recognized as one of the oldest continuously operating university institutions in the world. It was founded in 859 by Fatima Alferi, a pioneering woman of learning, originally established as an Islamic school in connection to the Al-Qarawiyyin mosque. It developed into a prestigious center of higher learning in the Islamic world, attracting scholars from various regions and even religions. Its curriculum initially focused on Islamic studies, fiqh, Islamic jurisprudence, Arabic grammar, rhetoric, and logic, expanding over time to include other sciences and mathematics, and to become a center of great general knowledge. The University of Al-Qarawiyyin is known for its historic library, which houses rare manuscripts, and Al-Qarawiyyin remains a symbol of intellectual and cultural exchange and one of the few universities in Islamicate history to rival Al-Azhar University in Egypt and Al-Qayrawin University in Tunisia, and the now gone Abbasid Centers of Knowledge in Baghdad. Today, it continues to serve as both a place of worship and education, with modern programs alongside its traditional studies, embodying a unique legacy of faith, knowledge, and intercontinental influence. As I said before, the university was originally founded by a woman, with the aim of spreading and teaching Islam. Rich and powerful women did exist in Islamicate history, and some of them were very pious and wanted to support the Islamic faith. And thus you had people like Fatima Alferi, who by her great patronage founded this institution, which would grow into becoming one of the great universities of the world historically. Fatima Alferi has a pretty interesting history herself, as she was from a powerful family that had branches all over the Western Arabic world, and herself was from Karaouine or al-Qarawin, a city in what is today Tunisia. And she had pretty much moved west and founded this institution where she moved to. She moved to Fez due to political troubles in her home region, connected to a local rebellion there. And she herself also had a background of having been pretty well taught from an early age, so she was well educated herself too. And she wanted an institution that could spread knowledge, in particular knowledge about Islam, but also other useful things for life. And thus she founded this institution of a school connected to the Al-Qarawiyyin mosque. Fatima Alferi also shows that women were important for the development of intellectual traditions within the Islamicate world. And her establishment of this school and its later growth is also a part of a process of westward expansion of knowledge, of moving the intellectual centers and economic weight of the Arabic Islamic world further westward, together with Al-Azhar, which was also established around this time in Egypt, as well as the University of Al-Qayrawin, which was also established around this time in Tunisia. The centers of knowledge and culture and development were moving from the classical centers of Iraq and the Eastern Middle East to the Western Arabic world, to North Africa. And this happened more and more as time went on. And by the time the Mongols sacked Baghdad in 1258, by that time Al-Qarawiyyin and Al-Azhar were greater centers of knowledge than anything in Baghdad. And this was also a reflection of a greater economic activity that had moved further westward in the Islamicate world, both of which, the economic activity and the intellectual development in the West, continued and even increased after the Mongols, as the eastern Middle East was devastated. But the Mongols never conquered North Africa, which was left unharmed. Actually, it is this economic and intellectual development that occurs in the Western Arab world, which is one of the reasons as to why I often argue against the hypothesis that the Mongols are behind the Islamicate world's current issues when it comes to intellectual and economic development. Though this is part of a greater subject matter of the Mongols' impact upon the Middle East and Islamicate civilization generally, which I will probably discuss in a future video. Speaking about intellectual development and Islamicate civilization, I would even argue that the Islamicate world, in places such as al-Qarawiyyin, still kept up with the Western European world until the early Enlightenment at least. And you can see this fact in the names of the people connected to Western intellectual traditions that studied at Al-Qarawiyyin, at least for some period of time. Here you have names such as Johannes Leo Africanus and Jacob Gaudius and possibly Gerbert de Aurelia, later Pope Sylvester II, who might have studied at Al-Qarawiyyin in the 10th century. Though this is disputed, and personally I think it is more likely that he just studied only in Cordoba. The direct sources about Pope Sylvester II do not mention him ever visiting North Africa, but it is possible and even likely that he studied under masters that had studied in Al-Qarawiyyin, and that this caused confusion among later historians who claimed that he had studied at Al-Qarawiyyin. In any case, the greatness of Al-Qarawiyyin University did reach and attract people from the Western Christian world, from the early Middle Ages to the early modern age as well. As for scholars of the Islamicate world, well, it would be easier to mention West Arabic scholars that did not study at Al-Qarawiyyin, its affiliates or under masters that had studied there. And the only competition the University of Al-Qarawiyyin really had, historically, came from Al-Qayrawān University in Tunisia, as a competing center of knowledge and intellectual development. Al-Qarawiyyin being a center for broad knowledge and intellectual development in several fields would, however, come to an end, because in the 18th century the Alawi Sultan Muhammad ibn Abdallah ordered the university to only focus on Islamic law, and that all the other sciences and institutions related to other sorts of knowledge were to be closed down. A university that had yearly had several thousands of students studying various different subject matters, as one of the world's few mass universities at that time, got reduced to a couple of hundred students each year, only studying classical Islamic knowledge and theology. And the university would not open up for a broader education again until the 20th century. And this is some of the history of this rather fascinating university. And I hope you liked this video. Please post comments and ask questions, and I will reply to you as quickly as possible, my viewers.
Please do subscribe, as it would help the channel spread awareness about the humanities.
اشتركوا بالقناة من فضلكم.